Hey everyone, Carly Mo's back online. So I wanted to talk about the Ballymena incident, the protests that followed, the violent riots, unfortunately, that ensued over a period of a few days, and what all of this has to do in relation to the misinformation that I see on mainstream media, by the police, and on social media platforms as well. So I really had to delve in deep into the details, the nitty gritty, to see who was involved, what actually happened, and why the riots took place. So, from what I heard, from what I've seen, especially from credible sources that I've seen, especially from Richard Inman, he's been covering this since the incident broke out. So these perpetrators, teenagers who sexually assaulted that girl, I believe she was 13 years old. These teenagers, 14 years old. Um, Take it with a pinch of salt. Correct me if I'm wrong down in the comment section below. But they came from the country of Romania based on the fact that they needed Romanian interpreters in order to answer the police questions on their name, their date of birth, their address. But they're from the Roma Gypsy community. So their heritage is from the Roma Gypsies, but they come from the country of Romania. That's the information I've gathered. Now, Richard Inman has talked about this. He said that this Roma Gypsy community, they haven't been the best in Ballymena, in the whole of Northern Ireland, and it caused a lot of trouble. There's been brothels, there's been illicit activity, criminal activity, uh, black market activity, and selling counterfeit goods, that kind of stuff. It's not all sunshine and rainbows when it comes to gypsies. Not like the type you see of them being glorified in movies like The Hunchback of Notre Dame. This is a whole different story, and Richard Inman has highlighted this. And so this kind of incident, I think it was kind of the tipping point, the kind of final straw that broke the camel's back for the people in these communities, a tight-knit community in Ballymena, so I've heard, of people that are just voicing their frustrations, coming out and protesting against the government, of the sole reason as to why they're protesting is against mass uncontrolled immigration. People have said it time and time again. We can't have more and more immigrants, both actually, you know what, both legal and illegal, coming into these communities, and they're not really adding much benefit. In fact, they're actually draining the economy and taking from the communities, taking more than they're putting in. There's been this kind of accumulated frustration from the people in these communities over a period of many years. But the main point I want to highlight in this video, I want to express my frustrations. It's just the utter misinformation, the gaslighting, and it's just absolutely disgraceful from the mainstream media, all of them, the whole lot of them, Daily Mail, whether it's Al Jazeera, the Telegraph, BBC, Sly News, obviously, and the police as well, coordinating together to target these people who were either participating or instigated these riots, branding them all as racists. This has nothing to do with racism. Obviously, I don't condone or encourage anyone to act on their emotions, to throw bricks and set things on fire. But this is inevitable when you call people racists for simply not wanting their child to be raped and sexually assaulted, for simply highlighting this issue of mass and controlled immigration that has been causing all of these incidents to repeatedly unfold. It wasn't just this incident with these two teenagers. There was another victim who was came from a mixed race family, and there's been incidents in previous years, in the past, in Northern Ireland specifically. I want to talk about Northern Ireland. And that's what people are frustrated for. And I've seen people from these communities coming out in peaceful protests, protesting peacefully, okay? Irish Catholics and Protestant loyalists coming together to unite as one, to protest against the government and talking about this number one issue that's plaguing their communities, their area, their society: mass uncontrolled migration, both legal and illegal. Why can't the politicians actually jump on this and get their act together? All of their actions are completely contrary to what they're preaching. They're telling us they're smashing the gangs, they're enforcing the borders, they're turning away the rubber dinghies. None of that is happening, is it? Whether it's the Tories, whether it's the Labour Party. And that's what people are frustrated for. I just see these articles being written by the mainstream media. They only highlight one or two sentences talking about these two teenagers coming from Romania, the root cause of the incident, and then they brush it off. They write paragraph after paragraph, writing a whole dissertation about the riots, the military gear that these police were wearing, the kind of stuff that these rioters were doing, throwing bricks, smashing windows, setting things on fire, and all the details, the very intricate, meticulous journalism on kind of details in regards to these riots, as opposed to the incident that unfolded, the sexual assault, the victim, the girl that was, the poor girl that was involved in this incident should never have happened. And what this has to do with uncontrolled mass immigration. But they don't talk anything about that and just brand all of these rioters and protesters as racist. In fact, what you're doing is actually you're stoking even more tension in these communities, is it? You're not really helping. Just putting more fuel into the fire and giving these people more of an excuse to push harder, to push for more violence and civil unrest. You're not really helping to what's the word? De-escalate the problem. So yeah, I just wanted to express my frustration. We can't tolerate this any longer. We have to unite together to protest continuously against the government to talk about this issue, mass uncontrolled migration, because they can't get away with gaslighting the public, to be branding people as racists for voicing genuine concerns. Can you believe that? That's the main point of the video. I think I've covered that. Another final note on misinformation. I just want people to take pieces of information, especially on X, with a massive pinch of salt. Just because you've heard that Ant Middleton has been axed by Reform, he's no longer running as a candidate for the Mayor of London. Listen, until I've heard it from Ant Middleton's mouth, I am not believing a single word, whether it's a rumour, some kind of drama, gossip, or just people making trumped up allegations that Ant Middleton has been betrayed by the Reform Party in the same way that Rupert Lowe and Ben Habib have, and that he's been tossed off as no longer being a candidate for the Mayor of London. I think he's still going to be running as candidate, and he's been talking on X a few days ago, dispelling all the rumours, and that he's pushing forward as a candidate. So don't believe a lot of what people are saying, just because that you have this preconceived notion about Reform, and you have kind of this. A lot of people have this confirmation bias. I can fall into this trap very easily myself as well. Is that you have this preconceived notion that Reform are rotten, they're your enemy, you will never vote for them again, and another incident just springs up, this gives me another excuse not to vote for Reform. I'm going to entice other people that, here, you see, I told you so, Reform are rotten. We need to take things with a pinch of salt and actually treat information for what it is. Don't just believe everything you see on social media. That's all I have to say. Thanks very much for watching. I hope I've covered everything I need to cover today. Feel free to clue me in on things that I've missed out. But this is Guardian Mode clocking out, and I'll see you in the next one.